Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Matt with Green Bar Trading here. Back with another weekly watch list video where we're going to talk about everything that we need to know for the week ahead in the stock market. So we're going to start with the earnings for the week. That is what is currently up on the screen for you guys to take a look at. Something that stands out to me, obviously, is NVIDIA. After the closing bell on Wednesday, NVIDIA has been running basically the entire market. So that's going to be a good one to keep an eye on. Let's see what they say. Let's see how the spending is going. Let's see how much they're making off of all this data centers, AI, their chips. So we got to see. That's probably going to be a huge percentage gainer in earnings over their previous year, which is why the stock is trading what it's trading, right? So let's see what they say about their forecast, their guidance. That's a big one. So I don't like to just see where they made their money, what they did in the previous quarter. I like to see what the guidance looks like. What is the CEO saying about the future? That's what I really am paying attention to. So that's going to be Wednesday after the close. Again, if you're going to be trading options on any of these companies that are reporting earnings, keep in mind, if you're buying contracts, they're going to be expensive because built in is the expectations of big moves. So you need to make sure that you get those big moves in whatever you're trading. I personally do not like to trade around earnings, but it will give some volatility. You just have to be careful of that IV crush. You don't want to get killed on that. And that does take a lot out of it. So anyway, those are the earnings up there for the week. Okay, now going over to our economic calendar. That's going to be all the reports coming out, the Fed speakers, and you can see here up on your screen, it starts here on Monday, November 17th. We have some Fed presidents speaking and Empire State Manufacturing Survey. So something to keep in mind with the economic calendar, since the government was shut down since the beginning of October, we have some delayed data that's going to be coming out. So a lot of people are saying this data dump is going to be pretty crazy, especially on Thursday when we have our jobs report. Now, this jobs report is supposed to be from September's report, right? Because we didn't get September's report in October. We didn't get October's report yet in November. So they're a little behind. I'm not really sure what those reports and what that data is going to look like. So very interested, especially on Thursday with the employment report, also the unemployment rate. This is something that I really am keeping an eye on, because if the economy was ever going to falter, you would start to see the unemployment rate tick up, okay? That's something that you're going to want to keep an eye on. The labor market is super important to the overall economy, okay? So that's going to be all on Thursday, and then you have more government speakers on Friday with the consumer sentiment right here at 10 a.m. on Friday, November 21st, okay? So that is your economic calendar for the week ahead. All right, let's take it over to the charts, okay? So what I always like to start with is that overall view, that daily chart on the S&P 500. We look at the SPY, which is the ETF for the S&P 500. All right, what I added to the charts here that you can see is the volume profile for the entire year. So we can see where volume was heaviest. That is to determine where you can see the potential for support and resistance, right? So looking at the volume profile, it's pretty clear to see where the volume was, where the support was on the S&P 500 right around this level, okay? This also coincides with the 50-day moving average. We saw support there. We have this big volume ledge that is acting as support as well. Now, if it ever broke down below this amount, like below the 650 amount, then I would say your next available, big block of volume for the year, all that support is going to be back down here. You could see at around the 600 mark. That's also going to be around that 200 moving average. Now, that's a pretty big way down here. And if it ever did get to the 200, then you're looking at the stock market, the S&P 500 would be only up about 5% on the year. So that would be a very big drop. It can happen. I'm not saying it can't, but we have seen support up here at this volume shelf here, and the 50-day, it closed over the 50 moving average, which that I think is really, really important in a strong market. If we take a look at the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ ETF, you can see very, very similar situation. Closed over the 50-day moving average, okay? Got a big volume shelf, big ledge right here, acting as support, right? So every time it gets down here, there's been a lot of volume. So if it is, seeing support there, that's why you see it, right? All this volume taking place is from this year. And look, it's only right here. That's where a lot of the volume has been for the year here on this volume shelf. And that just goes back to, in the September area. So we've seen a lot of support there. If it ever did break down, then you're looking at a gap here, and then your next available support would be down here, and then a big gap here, and then it would be right around this 520 mark. But so far, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, they both closed over the 50-day moving average. So right now, everything is okay. The market is fine. Let's see what happens if that market ever does close under the 50-day, and then maybe you can see some more weakness. But again, NVIDIA is a big driver of this AI boom, of the market, of this overbought, overpriced market. It's all because of NVIDIA. Wednesday, after hours, we see what their earnings report looks like and what their guidance looks like going forward. That's a big one. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, again, with the volume profile, if we take a look here, this is Meta, right? You see support at 600, and you see where a lot of volume has taken place for the year has been around this area. Now, you can see here, it was support. A lot of volume was done here for the year. Once it broke down under that, that's a big vacuum, right? Not a lot of volume, not a lot of support. And that's why Meta continued to go down to this next available level of support. We're under the 200, you're under the 50, you're under the 20 EMA. So again, this is technical analysis on support for the year. This is where it opened for the year. So we basically did an entire full round trip from up at a high 32% all the way back down to 0 on the year, or up just slightly. So that's why it's good to look at this volume profile. Every once in a while, you could put it up on your screen just to see where a lot of that volume has been. Now, you can do this on every chart. You could do it on a 10-day chart, a 5-day chart. It doesn't matter. But this is done. I'm looking at my yearly chart right here. This is the daily chart. So every one of these candlesticks represents a day of trading. I like to look at the volume and especially where that volume has been taking place over the course of that year. All right. So again, just a quick video here, little weekly watch list, what to expect in the markets. Hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.